Welcome, everyone, to Family Comes First. I'm Vincent J. Russo.
And I'm Victoria Roberts-Strogan. Thank you for joining us today. Vincent, we all respond differently to the loss of a loved one. So how does someone take a really tragic situation and turn it into a lifelong crusade for good and for love?
Today, Victoria, we'll hear about a love story that continues and also inspires teenagers heading to college who've experienced the tragedy of cancer. In sickness and in health, next on Family Comes First.
When Joe Satriano lost his wife Susan to cancer, he decided to document their story. His book, titled In Sickness and in Health, is a beautiful love story. But Joe did not stop there.
No, he didn't. Today on Family Comes First, we welcome Joe Satriano, who has used the proceeds of this book and his own funds to create a scholarship for children who have either lost a parent to cancer or have a parent who's battling cancer, all in memory of his lovely wife,
That's
Susan.
amazing. Joe, thank you for being here.
Thank you very much, guys, for having me on and allowing me to talk about my passion in my life.
Yeah,
Well,
absolutely.
it's a beautiful story.
And
Beautiful
we
story.
seem to have a lot in common. We both were born in Brooklyn.
Correct.
We both married Susans.
Right?
Our wedding song is a Beatles song. Now, I chose When I'm 64, but you chose
I chose And I Love Her.
And I Love, which is another great Beatle tune. So we have a lot in common. Just share.
And Russo,
Oh.
the
Yes.
pen name of your book.
But your Russo is real. Mine is a pen name.
All right. And how did you come up with Russo?
Oh, well, I tell people it's the Witness Protection Program, obviously. No, the truth be told, my mom passed away 9 Marches ago. That's her maiden name, Russo.
Beautiful name.
I know, it's great. And I always wanted to honor Mom. So
That's wonderful.
the J is for Joe, the S is for Susan, Russo for Mom. I cover all the bases.
That's
and,
wonderful.
And so it's a love story
It is.
that I'd love for you to spend time with us and share it.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I mean, I have been so blessed to have Sue in my life. We met at Brooklyn College in a math class. How romantic is that?
Yeah, it's a math class.
We were actually studying to be math teachers. The truth is that I did not know from women in that day and age. She was pursuing me. Yeah, and if she were here today, she would tell you it was the only D she ever got in a math class.
You
She
were a bad influence on her?
Well, yeah, she told me she was
distraction.
slightly distracted. Yeah.
D for
Wow.
distraction.
Right. Now, me, I didn't know she was pursuing me. I got an A. But, yeah, we had an idyllic relationship. It was so wonderful. 29 years of marriage. Kids came along. We went the all-American route. You know, we got the dog. We got the house.
2 kids.
2 kids. Because we were math teachers, we did multiply.
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
You got a home.
We had a home.
There you
The
go.
whole bit, yeah.
The American dream.
Exactly. I lived it. And yeah, I couldn't have been happier. I mean, life was beautiful. And then suddenly, you know, life sometimes tends to throw you some curves. 16 years into our 29-year marriage, unfortunately, Sue contracts breast cancer.
Wow.
And my wife is a survivor of breast cancer
Wow.
right now.
Wow.
But another connection.
Another connection. This is, wow. We should go out and buy a lottery ticket or something. I'm not sure.
Donate it to the
Yeah,
foundation.
there you go. But so 16 years in, she contracted breast cancer, and then 13 years after she passes away. I actually had retired 4 years early from my teaching job to be with her because her health had taken such a bad turn, and I was literally cheating the kids I was teaching in front of that classroom. I was there physically, but not mentally.
How old were your boys when she was diagnosed?
9 and 4.
Wow.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
tough.
Yeah, it was difficult, you know. But the amazing thing is, and I'll call it the human spirit because I don't know what else to call it, how it allows us to take these punches between our eyes and somehow, some way, we reel backwards. The appropriate amount of time, it's different for everybody in terms of the grief process. but somehow we take all that negativity, stop it in its tracks, assess where we are. We may not like how we got where we are, but we had no control of that.
Right.
The control we have is what we do with where we are. And you find your path. You somehow find a way to make it through.
Your path is extraordinary, what
You know,
you've
strength from God, family,
Friends.
community, friends,
Sure.
right? That just,
Absolutely. Yeah, it takes a whole community, really, literally, to help you through it sometimes, because we're not just little pieces of driftwood. We bump into each other, and we need that support.
And that's really what you do in your foundation, because the kids who are now dealing with a diagnosis of, from mom and dad, possibly a loss, what you've given them is a tremendous gift.
Well, thank you. I look at it as I'm doing just the right thing to do. That the true heroes in this operation are the kids. They are high school seniors who have had to deal with tragedy in their life so young, either watching the demise of a parent or already have seen that happen. And yet they want to move on to college. They want to make a dent in this world. About 90% of the kids, and being a math teacher, I did a little study on this. About 90% of the kids who have gotten the award, and there are over 1,300 of them who have gotten it in the 12 years, have actually gone on to do some give-back profession.
Wow.
Amazing. That's fantastic.
And I think one of the best things that I do, more than the money, is I go to each and every school and I talk to them.
Yes.
And I ask each counselor to give me 20 minutes with each kid. I tell them my story, and suddenly they open up like crazy. It's just amazing. I'm a stranger to them, but we've walked the walk, and there's power in our words because we've walked it.
Now, one of the ways you're helping fund these scholarships is your book.
Correct.
So tell us how a math teacher writes a book.
A love story, no
A
less.
love story, no less.
I know. I amazed myself because I'm not a writer per se, but I guess I am. But I wrote from the heart, and I wrote just as if you and I are sitting on our couch and we're talking to each other.
And you're telling the story.
Yeah, that's what I loved about the book. With the vignettes, they're just they're like insights, moments of family life, and I think it's so beautifully written.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Can you share a little more?
I was told that this book is like watching a MASH episode because MASH would make you laugh and cry in the same scene.
Yes.
And the fact is that Sue and I had fun. We enjoyed it pre-cancer, during cancer. We laughed, and that helped us a lot to get through a lot of the issues in our lives. But the one thing you can't get past is the fact that cancer is the underlying theme.
Yes.
So eventually you do have to deal with that in the book. But I know that from my book talks, people have told me that, yes, they do laugh. They get belly laughs from some of the stories I put in there, which are all true. But, the fact is that last chapter, which was called the final page in the photo album, that took me 3 months to write because of the fact that I couldn't see the keyboard through the tears.
Yeah, and what a journey. I mean, as you kind of document all the steps that were taken, every effort was made. You made sure that every option was considered out of your love for your wife. So at this time, we are going to take a break, and we'll be right back on Family Comes First.
Welcome back to Family Comes First. We have had the pleasure of spending time with Joe Satriano, author of the book In Sickness and in Health.
Along with Joe, joining us now, we're pleased to have Roy Ruland, whose son Ryan received a scholarship.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So tell us about your son. Tell us about your wife, Marion.
My son Ryan just recently graduated from Oceanside High School.
Congratulations.
He got accepted to Mount St. Mary College in Newburgh.
Wonderful.
He's going to be majoring in business, administration, management.
Excellent. Near and
And,
dear.
You couldn't convince him to to go into math?
I tried.
All right. Okay.
Business is great.
Yes, and my wife Mariam was diagnosed with cancer back in 2003, just before Ryan turned 4.
Wow.
Yes, and I still can remember the day I got the phone call. I was at work when the results of the biopsy came back.
Wow.
And I could say it was one of the most horrible phone calls I ever took in my life when my wife called me and told me what the news was. So we basically went into, getting better mode.
Right.
And the first problem I realized with having young children is when my wife was experiencing the effects of chemotherapy and radiation. Young children, like my son Ryan, was afraid of her wig, seeing his mother with no hair, no eyebrows.
Sure.
And we basically, my wife, she was a trooper. I must say, she explained to my son everything that there needed to be. She, showed him everything. She let him hold the wig, and we basically told him, this is a disease that we're going to fight, and we're going to do it all together. And they were very young, and as Ryan got older, he, realized how important it was to, stand by not only his mother with healing and helping, but to other people. He's sort of gotten involved in a lot of things because there was people there for him and there was people there for me. But when it comes down to it, it's really your family unit.
Family.
Yeah.
And Marion today?
Mariam today is in remission. She's doing excellent.
Fantastic.
And she's
That's
a little upset that her young son is going away to Mount St. Mary.
Well,
course.
that's a good problem.
Yeah, it's a good problem. Yes, she very upset. She says, "I'm going to be coming up, Brian, next week to see you." And I was like, Mom, let me get settled. But with Joe and basically, I just feel that it's so nice to do that to kids at that age, because my son felt very proud. When he was a recipient of the scholarship award, he knew, okay, I was recognized.
Right.
Well, it's an amazing accomplishment, not only to get through high school, get into a good college, perform with all the pressures that are on kids today, but then to do it when you have this additional set of circumstances that's happening in your home, that you have to still perform and do everything that's required of you. And then to be recognized by someone who's lived through it, who can really empathize.
I think when you met Ryan and Mariam, they hit it off great. I mean, it was just, it's really, it's good to talk. And, what I learned, and I could tell people, who have young children, that kids talk. And, sometimes adults talk. And the thing is, if something bothers you in regards to your mother's illness, come see me. Come see your mom. We're going to let you know, if it's something that you didn't like, please tell us. Let's have the open communication, because I get upset.
Sure, of course.
I said, Mariam, Mom's got to heal,
Yeah.
and we got to do it together. And now, take it back, I get upset. But,
Sure.
we got through it. We got through it. And
It's a
God
testament.
willing.
And
It's
you-
a testament.
You had to feel a kindred spirit here with Joe.
Yes.
But at the same time, a little bit of a surprise that he actually visited, right?
Yes.
Because that's incredible that you're taking the time out, because it's the scholarship, it's what it means maybe financially, but more importantly, you're an incredible mentor for these kids.
Well, the fact that we have walked the walk,
Yeah.
I think, makes the difference. And our words, Ryan's words, my words, more powerful than somebody else who has not experienced it. So right away, there is that bond which ties us. And I tell them, they amaze me. The fact that they have lived through it and are going to do great things with the rest of their life, considering that they could have stopped and let it stop them.
And that's what you said about Ryan, that he's found ways to give back to the community.
He's
that
give back to the
yeah.
communities. He's very actively involved in the veterans, with the hospitalized veterans in East Northport, in Oceanside with the VFW, and also he also volunteered for FinFest, which is done. Nora Finn does it in Island Park. It actually gives instruments to students that wouldn't be able to afford them, and you know, he got involved in that. And again, what I could say about the great work that Joe's doing is the fact that now they get to the age of 18 as young adults. Ryan already signed up for youth ministries when he gets to college.
That's amazing.
And talking to somebody like Joe, they know, like, now I could talk about it. I could talk about it.
Right.
Right.
I still get emotional because I'm the dad. It was my wife.
No, you're
but,
entitled.
Of
but
course.
you know, you could tell that he really, really understands now that it's something that you could, you know, talk about. And if somebody has a problem with illness, you know, caring, you know, good people care.
That's
Yeah.
right. That's right. And how did Marion feel when Ryan was receiving this scholarship?
It was all different types of emotion. It really was. It was sad, but in the same thing, she was very happy. She was very proud. You know, she was glad that he got recognized. She always thought, you know, that, you know, I hope that this doesn't affect them, that it's, you know, they were young and they were in elementary school, they were getting older, and everything worked out. Just the communication and everything worked out great, and she's just so proud. And I couldn't even begin to tell you when Ryan went up and got the award.
Right.
Everybody was turning, because Marion she had the waterworks going, and
Of
I started to
course.
cry, and
Of
it's just,
course.
it's an accomplishment.
Yes, it is.
And a recognition.
And every student that is a recipient, I know would feel that way too.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you so much, Roy, for sharing Ryan and Marion with us and being on the show, and
Yeah, thank you.
and the words, the kind words that you've expressed today for this gentleman here, Joe.
Oh, thank you so much for having me on, because I really wanted to express that this is such a good thing that Joe is doing for these young kids that experienced, you know, what my son experienced.
Right.
And it does help them. It does give them that sense of, you know, accomplishment, like
Right.
I helped out.
That's right.
They'll go change the
Great.
world. Congratulations on your
Thank you.
beautiful
Thank you.
family.
Thank you, Roy. And at this time, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back with Joe on Family Comes First.
Welcome back to Family Comes First. We've had the pleasure of spending time with Joe Satriano, and now joining us is school counselor Laura Politano from Malvern High School, who helps Joe identify candidates for these scholarships.
Welcome,
Welcome, Laura.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you
we'll
for
welcome
being
Joe
here.
again.
Welcome
My
back, Joe.
pleasure.
Yeah. So, Laura, how do you get the word out about the scholarships?
Well, like most scholarships in our district, or that come across our desk, or that we find out about online, we promote them. And we promote them via social media, Twitter, Facebook, our Facebook page.
And the kids are all over this these
They're,
days,
they're
right?
all over it these days. I do a scholarship. I'm the scholarship coordinator in the district, so I do a
Okay.
scholarship
Great.
newsletter
Nice.
and various ways we make announcements. But due to the sensitive nature of this particular scholarship, we collaborate with the social worker and the school psychologist and teachers to see if they know of anybody that maybe we don't know, because sometimes students have been afflicted from such a long time ago, but we don't really know about it now because we didn't know them until they got to high school sometimes.
Or they might not want to. They might not want to offer the information.
This is true.
So that makes the process different
Yes.
in
Yes.
terms of identifying the students,
Yeah.
and a challenge at the same time.
It is. It is. And like you said, they don't always want to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know.
And what impact have you seen these scholarships make on your students?
Oh, tremendous impact. Because it's really about kindness and kindness is love in action. It really is.
Yeah.
And Joe is just a beautiful man, and he makes it so easy. The kids have gone through such a challenging experience, having witnessed one of their parents go through, or guardian go through this horrific process, disease. And he comes in, he meets with the students, he has a conversation about it, he shares a little bit about his story, and then they share their story with him. And it's so comforting for them,
Yeah,
and
and
it's healing.
You created the foundation, the Susan Satriano Memorial Scholarship Foundation. You have a website,
Yes, I do.
and
It would be www.susansatrianofoundation.com.
That's
great,
easy.
because I want to make sure all our viewers, if they would like to help the
Yes.
foundation and support all these great scholarships,
That would be great.
that would be wonderful. And I'd like to understand, so you create this foundation, and then you have to identify and find the students. So
How
what
do
did you do? What did you do initially to then create this process that now exists?
Well, I first had this idea in mind that I wanted
Right.
to target these particular kids because I saw what it did to my own two boys. So this was a no-brainer for me to help kids who have cancer parents. It started in Oceanside, we're at my home district, with four students. I took Sue's life insurance check and divvied it up amongst four kids. From there, it has now grown in leaps and bounds, and I can't believe I'm telling you these numbers.
Right. Well, you're a math teacher. You can do
I
it.
can tell you the numbers.
You can do it.
Right. I'm hoping for infinity with these numbers, but not quite
quite.
yet.
That would be great.
But I'm helping over 60 districts on Long Island and the
60
tri-state
districts.
area.
So how did this network blossom like that?
You know, it's either people come to my book talks, they will hear me mention the foundation. Inevitably, someone out there in the audience knows a kid or a
Right.
parent who's going through
Yeah,
it.
that makes sense.
You know, social media. I'm there. I've been on
schools.
radio and television as well. So yeah, you do whatever. You know, I've won. The foundation has won awards. So all of that helps to gain in its
And
popularity.
so much, I mean,
Yeah.
the responses, the letters that people send to you.
Yeah, so
That's huge.
Laura, comment on this. There's all these letters that he's getting.
Yeah, I think he's going out there asking people to send letters to him. But no, really, that's not what's happening. It's coming from their hearts, and they just feel so gratified for, having met with him and receiving the scholarship.
Thank you so much for all that you're doing. It's so important, and you're
Beautiful.
out there doing it, and we can't thank you enough. And Laura, thanks for the help that you're giving to these students.
You're welcome.
And
It's
the
my
connection
pleasure
to
again.
the
And
foundation.
And for your good work, too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know.
And
It's hard
I-
to say it
yeah,
enough.
that's
It's a
right.
beautiful testament to your wife
We're
and
going
your family.
to take a break now, and we'll be right back on Family Comes First.
Joe's love for his wife, I mean, their beautiful story, and the support and the love that he gives to young adults is extraordinary.
Absolutely. And no one understands unless you've been through it, when the loss of a loved one.
Yeah.
I love that Joe is not only helping financially, but he's also connecting with each student in such a very meaningful way.
Yeah, that's the gift.
You know, he speaks to all of the recipients of his scholarship program. And he told me that he met with over 200 students, either in person or by Skype,
Amazing.
this past year.
Amazing. Joining us now to continue the conversation and share his experiences is our spiritual advisor, Father Tony Stanganelli. Thank you, Father Tony, for being with us.
Well, again, thank you so much for connecting me to some extraordinary people.
Yeah.
You know, all through my priesthood, I've met so many wonderful, real heroes and heroines in life, and who've been able to rebound from sadness and
Yes.
loss. But this story
And
today is
give.
extraordinary.
Yeah.
Extraordinary. And of all the things that we've heard in this segment, I just can't imagine having gone through that loss, and then you're receiving a check, a life insurance check in your hand. What am I going to do with this? And then in that, a dream emerges, a vision emerges that I could give life with this. I can continue to foster life through my loss and through the loss of my beloved wife. Incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, there's so many connections that I have to Joe.
Yes.
And I understand totally what you've just said. When Teresa passed away, well-intended people sent money to us. And we got these checks, and we had over $5,000, and it was like, what do we do with this?
Right.
What do we do with this? This isn't our money. And so that was a spark that we donated it to United Cerebral Palsy, the playground and park.
Yes.
And it was another spark that led us to the Teresa Foundation being formed. And now we have Teresa's Fun Place there.
Yes.
And it's just
Great.
so, I understand that and how it's stuck in your mind about this insurance check.
Well, it isn't our money. And even
Right.
these recipients of these scholarships are people who in their own lives will then use this gift to be able to develop their own gifts
Yeah.
Right.
and allow themselves then to be part of a larger community where they'll give back.
Yeah, which was extraordinary because that's what Joe was saying. Most of the kids who have received these awards are turning around and giving back in some way, which is, good
Paying
begets
it
good.
forward. It's
right?
paying it forward all the time.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
Joe is the essential element
Oh, yes.
that he's spending the time.
The time.
And the type of person he is, I am sure
Right.
it's a wonderful experience for each child and something they can take with them and build on.
And life-changing in that they feel recognized by someone who has gone through it and says, I understand what you're going through. I went through it. You'll get through it, and you can give back. And that's remarkable.
And then the benefit to him that he has this time now that he's retired as a math teacher. What do you do with it? And how
Such a
do you
gift.
how do you
Such a
stay
gift, yeah.
and live in a meaningful way? So it's a win-win situation.
And we heard from, Ryan's dad about
Right. Oh, my
about how he's giving back to veterans, and giving back to his community, and that's extraordinary. It's just like this cycle, this upward cycle of love and
And
giving.
that's what good does.
Yeah.
Kindness in action.
Yes,
It
I love
really
that,
just-
kindness in action. Yeah. Losing a loved one to cancer is devastating, but Joe shows that it is possible to use this tragedy to inspire and to help others. For a list of resources and more information, please visit Vincent's law firm's website, vjrussolaw.com.
Thanks for joining us, and remember, family truly does come first.